Good morning, Spain. How lovely to have you with us once again here from our studios at Hard Rock Hotel, Marbella. This week, we're going to be talking about Spanish culture, fashion, and tradition. We'll also be traveling. We'll be learning a new simplified Spanish recipe with Chef Nick. How to dress up the common flip-flop. We'll be looking at keeping our makeup and brushes and things clean, and so much more. Stay tuned. Good morning, Spain. Good morning, girls.
Good morning.
We're going to start off today's program. We're talking about tradition and culture in Spain. Well, one of the things I think is the most incongruous for us Brits is the way the Spanish say please and thank you, or rather don't, which is quite shocking culturally for us, I think, particularly at first. Don't you agree? Because
we say it a lot.
A lot.
Yeah, all the time.
Absolute a lot. The first time I came into context with this was I did an exchange with a little girl from the north of Spain, Maria Blanca Ruiz de Larranaga, Ruiz de Ofenda, one of these really
my goodness.
I love that.
surname Basque people.
Wow.
And she was having dinner with us, and my mum commented about how rude she was because she wasn't saying thank you for every single thing. And I understood, having been with their family, that it was a cultural thing. And I
Yeah.
tried to explain to my mother, it's just not the way they do it. It's not rude. But then when I moved to Marbella when I was 18, 19 in the 80s, I remember being anywhere and they put your drink mat down, gracias. The glass on the mat, thank you. Ice in the glass, thank you. They pour the drink, thank you. And then they leave and you say thank you, which is
Yeah.
correct.
Normal,
Definitely.
this
But here they just turn around like, shut up!
Yeah.
What are you doing? What's going on?
Are the English too much? Oh,
It's,
Yeah,
it's
or
weird.
it's less.
It's just different.
It's
As you say,
culturally
it's
Yeah.
not that
different.
one's right or wrong. It's just different. But it's weird for us because it happened literally this morning when the waiter, who we know very well, we go to the same place every morning for breakfast, and he brought me my coffee, and we were in the middle of a conversation, and I was really conscious that I didn't say thank you immediately
bless you.
as he put the coffee down. But then when he was the other side of the table and he'd given Nicole her coffee, at that moment we'd sort of stopped talking. So then I said, gracias.
Oh, yeah.
Made the,
But you had it
I
inside
had it
you.
inside
Yeah,
me
almost like
because
a worry.
I felt really conscious that he's bringing me my coffee, and that sort of attitude of, you know, not saying thank you, like expecting service, and
Yeah.
it felt really uncomfortable to me. I had to say thank you because I'd hate for him to think I'm rude and expecting my coffee and not appreciating how nice and kind he is. You know, it's within us, isn't it? It really
Yeah.
is.
That's
Yeah.
nice. That's a nice trait.
Yeah, but as you say, it's like, you know, when like someone calls you and they just go like "Dine," like tell
Yeah,
me.
or diga.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Diga.
Yeah.
Speak.
that as you say, like the thank you. It's like the
It is.
same.
It's very culture different. I remember when working in Madrid, and there would be. I realised that there were certain expressions, like you say. So it would be, for example, you say like, "How was your weekend?" The Spanish have this set answer, and it's corto, short.
Yeah,
How were your holidays? Olvidadas, forgotten.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, they have these certain things that's just like.
Whereas
they
our
take-
answers would take 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
No, they got
round
these
bushes.
standard things that like, how was the weekend? Sure, holidays, for God. It was like,
But do you not think it's funny? Because in a lot of senses, I would say Spanish people are a lot more chatty than British people. British people are sometimes more
Reserved.
more
Yeah.
reserved. They're very polite, but maybe not as opened up as much.
Yeah.
So the difference is interesting because in that sense, then Brits would be more likely to give a more elaborate answer. I don't
Yeah.
know.
well, it's funny because
Yeah.
we're more austere and offish, but we're formally polite. Whereas you say the Spanish person, even in the north, it gets more as you go down south. But the Spanish person, if you
Chatty,
cross on
yeah.
this, you're in a lift, you go into a doctor's waiting room, the dentist. The normal thing is as you get in, hola, buenas.
exactly.
You may never talk to anyone after that, but you walk in and you say hello, and we don't
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
We're very much in our own little.
Yeah.
But there
Yeah.
again, we're shaking hands. We're not hugging and kissing everyone. So
Exactly.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that as well.
So it's weird, isn't it?
But it is with the hola or buenas, two people crossing each other in a random situation would say it. You know,
Yeah.
even if you're on your way into the doctor's surgery, crossing someone on
Yeah.
the stairs, someone will say hola or buenas.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
just
You know,
polite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, in
It's
Spanish,
nice.
that's polite.
That's polite.
Yeah.
And it would be impolite if you just pretended there's no one around.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
us Brits, we're quite happy with pretending there's no
Yeah.
one
Yeah,
There's no one there.
absolutely.
Look
I have my own little fiefdom.
Well, there's the thing on the tube in London. You know, that's
Oh.
a real thing to
Look
talk to
down.
someone.
Yeah.
You know, don't even look at someone, let alone talk to someone. one.
Yeah.
It was a weird thing. I remember there was this campaign quite a few years ago where people were encouraged to wear stickers to say, talk to me.
Oh,
talk to-"
really?
Because
Really?
people were trying to get people to be more chatty, because people just wouldn't on the tube. You know, it was
No.
and because people were trying to get that more of a European flair to say, hi, how are you? Have a nice day and bye. But if you did that, people would be like, why is she speaking to
Yeah,
me?
what's
Like,
Exactly, what do you want
what does
from
she
me?
want from me? Like, what is she? Is my bag intact? Like,
That's what I like now with like the social media, that people are going onto buses and trains and they're
singing.
singing
Have you seen
and they're
it?
trying to get
Really?
people to join in, because I think that's the way, I mean,
love
music
that.
is the way of joining everyone, isn't it?
Yeah.
It speaks
Yeah.
all languages. But I like that for that reason, because come on, everyone wants to.
but again, people will go, oh, she's going to want money after this. If people are singing in public, you're assuming that they're busking and they're going to come round with a hat.
So you just look down.
know,
Everyone's not me.
We had
in
that
doubt.
recently in Seville. These two guys came up with guitars and started singing
It's
to us
fun.
all, and went round the whole group of women, asked what our name was and sung a song for us all.
Aw.
And then obviously wanted money,
Yeah.
and we gave them €5, and they were so offended. They wanted more money, and we were like, no,
really?
it was
We
really
didn't ask for this.
No,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
It was really awkward, and that's the thing with anyway,
Yeah.
different subject.
Ex-
Sorry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that another week.
Make my day. Make my day.
We're always harping on about how important it is, if you're living in Spain, to speak some Spanish. But it's kind of curious how when we do speak another language, we seem to adopt a different personality. Do you find the same?
Completely.
A little
Oh,
bit.
When I
Yeah.
was first learning Spanish at school, and I did an exchange with Maria Blanca, as I mentioned earlier, in Vitoria, and she had a little brother and sister, Inigo and Tonchu. And I found that when I was speaking Spanish, hablaba así, con la voz de un niño, little child's voice, because I was copying
High pitch.
their accent.
Yeah.
And the secret to success of speaking a language is that. It's finding an accent, someone to emulate, to imitate. So if you want to say, like in Spanish would say Espain, because they don't have the S, like we say Spain.
Yeah.
They say Espain.
And it's spaghetti.
So if you want to speak, Spaniard wants to speak good English, they would have to really concentrate on not going Espain, just Spain. You have to find someone. But it's hysterical. So for example, this morning, when Lily arrived, she looked at me and she said, morning, Nicole. And then she looked at Pachi, our Spanish colleague, and just, hola, Pachi. Wasn't it? It was funny, but
So cute.
completely.
I'm very high pitched in Spanish.
I think I am
Yeah.
too. I think in English I speak a much, even though now I don't base myself on Inigo and Tonchu, the 6 or 7-year-old. But it is, cuando hablo español, it is, my voice is higher. It's
Yeah.
different. It changes personality. Now, I don't know about you guys, because you all speak good Spanish.
Yeah.
Even though I speak really, really good Spanish, I can see a film and not know if it was Spanish or English. It's that
That
synonymous.
good.
However, if I want to say something from the heart, like something really, I'd say it in English.
Yeah.
Yeah,
me too.
yeah, me too.
Yeah, definitely.
Completely.
Or if I'm counting money,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that one immediately it just goes like, this is serious.
yeah.
I'm doing it in English. You
Yeah.
have that.
I'm like that.
I don't, but I think it is also because I grew up here like since birth. You know, like I was
Right.
born
Yeah.
here, so I think like my boyfriend, we speak Spanish and only Spanish, and everyone, all my friends in England are like, it's so weird that you speak to your boyfriend, your whole relationship is in Spanish, and I
Yeah.
obviously can't imagine it another way. So I think that's obviously a different perception. But
Yeah.
no, it's interesting. It makes
Yeah.
sense that you
I
guys.
mean, I was only in England for 18 years, but those
Yeah.
18 years have left their mark.
Yeah. Of
I need my
course.
tea.
Yeah, yeah. Always
Cup of
have a
tea solves everything.
Everything.
Absolutely. Let me make you a
there's a
cup
lot
of
of-
tea.
Yeah, literally, I know. But do you know what? It's weird though, because when you're saying that, because my relationship
your
with my
relationship's
partner,
Spanish,
yeah.
yeah.
But it's weird, like you, Nicole. If I need to do something serious, like like any finance or like any contract, like straight away it's English for me. It's almost like I find it hard in English, so let alone in Spanish.
But I think even something like that, if you want to thank somebody sincerely, I'll say it in Spanish, but by saying it at the end in English, I know it, like I really
meant more
mean
to
it.
you.
Yeah,
So I'm going to
yeah.
say it, and I laugh at myself, like, how strange that that's what makes it valid, but obviously that is my authentic
Yeah.
self.
Yeah.
And the other one is a character that I have taken on to be able to be the Spanish version
Yeah.
of myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, with my son, I couldn't speak to him in Spanish, even though he was brought up in
Yeah.
Argentina at the beginning, and it just seemed natural just to say, instead of saying cariño and all those kind of things, it was just more natural just
In
to
English.
say everything
Yeah,
in English.
yeah.
So for me, it's
With our
like,
kids, because we lived in Madrid, I spoke to the children in Spanish. The father spoke to them in English.
Oh, really?
Because we
wow,
wanted to get
yeah.
somehow get both languages in. But I
That's
remember when my
amazing.
son was traveling, he was in the other side of the world somewhere, and he sent a message. I sent him a message in Spanish, and he didn't think it was me. He thought it was a scam. My
No
mother
way.
would never speak to me in Spanish. I must have just been in a Spanish moment.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
messaged him, but he didn't think it was me. My mother would never message me in Spanish, and I'm like,
Really?
right, it really is me. It really is me.
but there's times like normally I would be with my son also in English, but then there's times like you, I would be
Yeah.
like writing it in Spanish because I'm like so
You're in that moment, in
that
conversation
world.
or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, no, definitely. But it is. You do take on another personality when you speak another language. I mean, I speak German also.
Wow.
But German is very direct language. So
Yeah.
I'm direct. I'm like strong. I'm like, it's like this, you know. So that kind of personality comes
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good
yeah.
though.
And in Italian, it's like with the hands, it's even more so. I mean, in Spanish, you also use
I mean,
the
I can't
hands.
speak without using my hands now.
Yeah,
Even
It
in
literally
English
yeah.
though.
It literally is. In
Yeah.
fact, if I want to listen to somebody, I sit on my hands
Oh, really?
because I know that if I go to talk, I will need my hands. And by me doing that, it's like, right, I wanted to be quiet, sit on your hands.
That's so funny.
But that's in all
really.
languages though. Like if you
Wow.
watch me on the show, I'm like,
Right, but you're Spanish.
yeah.
British
Yeah.
people aren't like
No.
that.
Yeah, so expressive though. There
You know,
isn't
that it's
it?
more like this. I mean, even I know that when I do the news or things, and I'm all like this, and there's like, keep still. It's like, I can't. I mean,
like a little wiggle bum.
I can't. It's like, it's the whole language is in the, but it is, Spanish is very much, it's in your, the way you hold yourself, the same as any language.
Yeah,
It's a whole
yeah.
different body language, it's a whole different, and I think also, this is what I saw, I think it was about, I can't remember, it was like pneumonia, some really interesting word. But basically, even if we're speaking the same language, you don't necessarily know that someone's going to understand you because we're really just giving our intention of communication, but we have no idea how it's going to be interpreted because that person's life experience is so different. If you then add another country
interesting.
and culture, but for example, we're from Linda and I, same country, basically very much the same. I can never remember, you know those exercise places called CrossFit?
Yes, yeah.
For some reason, I managed it today, I can never remember that.
That word.
So
Yeah.
I will say like, oh, it's called angry exercise.
Angry
Well, when I mentioned this to Linda, she goes, CrossFit, angry exercise. Because in Linda's mind, CrossFit was a cross,
Yeah.
a religious cross or
wow.
a symbol of a
I
cross.
would never think of cross as angry.
So we're looking at exactly the same name,
Yeah.
with the same nationality, we speak the same language, and yet we've looked at the same words, and I've associated it with CrossFit is angry exercise.
I like that.
Makes sense.
And Linda couldn't even
Something
begin, why
religious.
angry? It's like, because she's cross.
Wow.
I'm cross that I have to do exercise.
It is an anger exercise CrossFit,
It is, isn't it? It's very
It's quite
aggressive.
aggressive.
But it just goes to show that even in the same language, with the same people,
Yeah.
understanding, getting across a message is very difficult.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have to be very open to understanding, and I think expecting to hear the best, because if you expect to hear the worst, you'll be right
hear
either
the
way.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
completely.
So true.
But do you find that sometimes so when sometimes someone speaks Spanish to you, does anyone ever say to you, oh, it's because you're English so you don't understand it in a certain way? Because I don't know about you, but say like, for example, the other day in tennis, the teacher was explaining something to me and I understood it perfectly, but there was something in my brain that wasn't understanding like the back end of it. So I don't know if that ever
Like the
happens
full
to you.
meaning.
Yeah, it's weird, and he kind of made a comment. It was like, maybe it's because you're English and you understand me, but you don't understand exactly. So I don't know if that ever happens
But it is.
with you.
I mean, it's curious because there are subtle differences. For example, there was something that surprised me when my daughter was young. She found it very difficult to read. She had dyslexia. Anyway, she really got into she loved Twilight, the series.
Oh, yes.
And they had, I think it was 4 or 5 novels in the series, and she read them all in Spanish. We lived in Madrid, bought them in Spanish. And then a friend of hers went to England and as a gift brought her back the 5 books in English. Now my daughter goes to a Spanish school. She lives in Spain. We did Spanish. And when she read the 5 books in English, she said to me, Mum, so much better in English.
Really?
So even though it was professionally translated into Spanish, and
Yeah.
Ashley is very much both languages like you, Lily, both are, you know, she's English and she's Spanish.
Yeah.
reading the book,
Yeah.
she said it was so much better in English because some things
Can't be
culturally
translated.
cannot be
Yeah, it's not the
translated.
same, not the same feeling.
It's coming from an English cultural heritage. It's based on the way we do the words, the everything, the names, everything.
Yeah.
And so she was saying that the books were so much better in English, and that's
Wow.
I was very delighted that
Yeah.
at such a young age she could understand that.
Yeah.
But yes, it's not the same.
And
Wow.
like
No, it's
dubbed
not.
films, for example, like
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, I will watch a movie in Spanish if I have
Yeah.
to, but like obviously it's better in the original version because the jokes don't really make
Yeah.
sense,
Yeah,
and
it's not
vice
the
versa.
same.
Like you know, like I said, Papel Money Heist. I couldn't watch that in English. It's a Netflix series because it's Spanish and it doesn't make sense in English
Yeah,
either. So it
yeah.
goes both ways.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so weird. Now I haven't watched TV in English for obviously because my husband wouldn't, and he
Yeah.
doesn't understand it, bless him. So now if I was to watch it in English, it feels so weird. It's
Oh,
almost like
really?
I'm like, whoa, like what's going on? Like you feel like you're in like a dream world as such.
It's funny because
so funny.
Spain, many countries don't have dubbing, but Spain
Spain
does.
always does.
And it's funny because I remember years ago I was in the kitchen cooking and I heard Mrs. Bridges from upstairs downstairs. But when I went in, I think it was Raquel Welch. It was the same woman doing the voice. But I'm just hearing the voice.
Yes,
Oh, upstairs downstairs, Spanish Mrs. Bridges.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yet when I wanted to know it was normally with big actors, they have a role per person.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
I'm Rocky or whatever, that's what I am. But you've got Raquel Welch, who's obviously years ago, that voice actor is now out of business. She's now missing. Just it's so incongruous
Wow.
to hear a voice that belongs to somebody else.
Because as you say, they use the same voice for all the actors as such.
And
Sorry.
sorry, I was going to say, what about menus? If like you're at a Spanish restaurant, they give you an English menu. Can
Yeah.
you have to have it in a Spanish menu,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Spanish food has to be a
yeah.
Spanish menu.
Yeah,
What is that in
completely.
English?
Because my
yeah.
parents, like we all speak English at home, and my dad always speaks English, but he can't have an English menu. What are fried anchovies? Like
Exactly.
yes,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And calamaris is nice, but I don't want to eat an octopus.
a squid.
Anyway, I was going to go to another tangent. Let's not do that. Learning Spanish is great,
Yeah.
but as we're seeing, even if you speak really fluent Spanish or English, at the end of the day, I think culture and heritage wins through.
Yeah, completely.
Definitely.
When you think of car or motorbike insurance, think Linear Director. When you most need your insurance company, Linear Director are there for you. With tow trucks, courtesy car, mechanics, legal advice, even overnight stay in a hotel if you need it. There's a whole department dedicated to us Brits with people who speak English there to help us. If you're looking for an insurance policy that really takes all your needs into consideration whilst you're driving in Spain, then Linear Director really is the company for you. Why don't you give them a call? 952 14 78 34 or contact them online.
Make my day. Make my day.
I remember years back being in a trade fair in Valencia and seeing American visitors to the trade fair all dressed up nicely, walking around in plimsolls and tennis shoes, and it looked so strange. It's like, what are these people doing? How shocking. And now, 20 years on, we're all dressed up nicely and we tend to wear comfortable shoes. Thank heavens we've learned that you don't have to suffer to look nice, which used to be, you have to suffer to look nice.
Yeah.
No,
No.
let's try not to. I mean, if we went to the fair
yeah.
and Linda's got the dress on and the this, which weigh a ton, and she goes, should I put my shoes on or leave my flip-flops on? It's like, well, for me, I'd leave my flip-flops on and be comfortable. But it's not Spanish tradition. How far do we have to take tradition? So anyway, based on comfort, which I think, as I said, the toes, pointed toes, I've squeezed my feet into as a child,
gosh.
ruined my feet. So I very much like this new trend, dressing casually, nice but casual,
Yeah.
wearing comfortable flip-flops or sandals. And with this in mind, Kate is going to show us how to dress up the common flip-flop. It's become quite a thing, hasn't it? Just taking
much.
a normal cheapy item and then just elevating it.
As you say, I think as well, just because you can, obviously you can, like, if you want to just go to Primark, you get a pair of sandals for like, what, €3 now, like so cheap. And these are just, for example, just some bits that I've got at home, but it really is so simple. Like, you know, you can just go like around your house, find little accessories. Like, as I said, I just had like little chains, like you can get really nice little charms. And obviously these are just different ribbons that I had, but you can get really thin ones. And then obviously you can weave it through the chains and then literally just tie it onto your flip-flop. And then you can just get so creative. So it's like, as I say, really super simple. You can either just do it with a little knot at the bottom, like this.
And depending on your outfit, you could add pink ribbons or whatever colour you're wearing.
Oh, you can also,
Exactly.
I suppose, like do that espadrille effect by tying them up your.
I love
Exactly.
them, yeah.
Yeah.
So even like we could just on this, but you could just, as you say, just do the little simple around your ankle, like little ballet flip-flops, which is really cute.
Oh, and also you could do that to put it round the back of your heel so they don't come off.
exactly.
Oh, so yes, you could do loads of that. I like the idea with the little chains that you could weave them in.
Yeah.
And then, as you say, like you can just really like super simple, like go different colours, and then like put little chains on. So then you could like put a little
Bead.
charm or bead on, and then actually, as you say, you can have a different outfit every single day. Like when you go on holiday, and then just make them look really, really
Oh,
pretty.
I
so
like
you
it.
can cover it. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Like you could wind it round and just add little charms
Yeah.
and things. That makes lots
Just
of sense.
really nice.
Simple, easy.
Yeah.
If you want, and I love doing arts and crafts.
Oh, it's so
That's a
much
great thing, even
fun.
just to get the kids or and a group of friends. Okay, get out the old flip flops
Yeah.
and let's bling these things.
Exactly. And do you know what, as you say, and I think it's really nice because you can get super creative, and you know, when it's really hot outside and you need a couple of hours and you don't know what to do, it's like, right, what are we going to wear tonight? Let's plan our outfits and let's plan our shoes.
Exactly, that's a great
Shoes, I like
activity.
that.
Can't wait to start. Go home, everyone. I want to
We
get
need
great.
a couple of hours.
South Central dancing like no.
Hello and good morning, Spain. Today we're going to be making a típico tapa. This is going to be a little bit of a different one. Very modern. I've just come back from Barcelona for a wedding. Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Wilson. Now this is something I kept seeing along the beach and it just drew my attention. And first time I saw it, I instantly went and did the same thing and it was the best thing ever. So all it is a pack of bag of crisps, preferably vinegar, but you could do any flavor you want. And then it's all about grabbing things that are pickled or marinated, and we're just gonna put them all on top, rustle them about, sit down and eat them. This is fantastic, and I couldn't recommend it enough. When the first time I saw it, I was like, why have I never done that? So we're gonna get right into it. I've got a bag of crisps, I've opened them up with the paper there just so you can see them. I've got some lovely boquerones en vinagre. I'm just gonna drizzle these across all over. Now, it looks a bit funny this, but it makes sense. A lot of tapas that are served in Spain are always served with crispy chips or crispy potatoes. So this is just that next step, really. We've got some lovely olives, pickled peppers, pickled pickles. Straight in with those, all over the top. Again, just the idea of being able to walk into a shop, grabbing a bag of crisps, a few jars, sitting down, opening them up, and you've just made this fantastic dish out of nothing. Bit of serrano ham, just gonna tear that up, spread it around. The idea is we're gonna give this a little shake, and whatever you grab, that's what falls. That's the best bit. So in every crisp, there's a little bit of something on there. Now this is just me, but a bit of chives on there is always gonna help. Bit of freshly cracked pepper. That juice that the boquerones came in, straight over the top. Just a little bit of a drop in there. Bit of fresh Parmesan Just shaving over the top of this. Now, I can't tell you how good this looks. And there's only one thing missing, but it's not appropriate for breakfast TV. So we're going to get into this straight by as is. Now there's final touches you could do to this if you wanted. You could add a bit of spice or a bit more pickle or some chili if you wanted to, but this to me is perfect. So this is my beachside bag of crisps. Thank you very much and good morning. Let's have a go. Luck of the draw, bit of everything. So good. How I've never thought of this, I don't know. Such a good snack. You've got to give this a try. Thank you very much and good morning.
As we've been talking a bit about Spanish culture, I thought I'd look up some really interesting non-fiction books about different aspects of Spanish culture, starting with Grape, Olive, Pig, Deep Travels Through Spain's Food Culture by Matt Golding. It's an award-winning book that is a deeply personal exploration of a country where eating and living are intrinsically linked. The chef Anthony Bourdain once said, "Any reasonable sentient person who looks to Spain, comes to Spain, eats in Spain, drinks in Spain, they're gonna fall in love. Otherwise, there's something deeply wrong with you." In this book, Matt introduces you to the sprawling culinary and geographical landscape of his adoptive home and offers an intimate portrait of the country, its remarkable people, and its complex history. Fall in love with Barcelona's tiny tapas bars and modernist culinary temples. Explore the movable feast of small plates and late nights in Madrid. Join the 3,000-year-old hunt for bluefin tuna off the coast of Cadiz. Then continue your seafood journey north to meet three sisters who risk their lives foraging the gooseneck barnacle, one of Spain's most treasured ingredients. Delight in some of the world's most innovative and avant-garde edible creations in San Sebastian, and then wash them down with cider from neighboring Asturias. Sample the world's finest acorn-fed ham in Salamanca, share in the traditions of cave-dwelling shepherds in the mountains beyond Granada, and debate what constitutes truly authentic paella in Valencia. Oh, I'm hungry now.
Oh my God, but what a great summary of Spain, as you've
isn't
done
it?
that.
Yeah, I
at
was
all.
thinking of all those places as you
Exactly, and it's so on point.
Yes, isn't it?
So on point, and really by doing that you have experienced a culinary delight.
Yeah.
But when you said
definitely.
at first grape, olive and pig,
Where's she going with this?
but it sounds really, and then it's like, of course, I mean, if we think about that with the jamon, I mean, it's just such a big deal in Spain, like our bacon and their jamon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that was fabulous. That sounds great.
There's more. Then we have Spain, the Root and the Flower, an interpretation of Spain and the Spanish people by the late John A. Crow. This book is described as a classic study of the cultural history of Spain and its people, which he last updated in 1985, but yet seems as fresh and pertinent as when he first wrote it. The author devoted a lifetime to Hispanic studies, and this book provides a historical interpretation of Spanish civilization from its earliest beginnings to the present. The scope of this study is really amazing and includes chapters on Roman Spain, the Jews in Spain, the Moors, life in medieval towns, and the golden age of Spain, plus a view of Franco's legacy. The book heavily emphasizes the arts, literature, and folkways over just political and diplomatic records, but also features historical context leading into the Spanish Civil War. It's rooted in the author's extensive personal travels and intimate knowledge of the country since 1928. Imagine how it's changed
Sounds
since
like a must-read.
1928. There's so much.
It sounds
in
like
this.
a must-read. Because
It's really,
you think
really-
about the changes
The history.
that have gone from like dictatorship to the different, like
and the impact that has on the country's people, like
No, it's been a very
merge of the
challenging and dramatic history of Spain.
Definitely.
Or generations have experienced different ways, so it's hard to
I
almost
kind of
teach.
feel there's still 2 generations to go
Yeah.
until there's some kind of
Uniform.
normality. Because when you think of the children that grew up in Franco time, when they grew up, they would want to have that authority that they understood was like what was aspired to. And then their children, it's only their children's children who are going to be able to appreciate that, not have grown up in that same philosophy. Do you see what I mean? As I was saying
Absolutely.
before, it's like, it's just inbred.
Exactly. Well, there's a big thing, generational trauma.
There you
Even
go,
though
that's
you
what I
haven't
wanted to
gone
say.
through something,
Yeah.
your parent, and that happens with wars. You know, the Spanish Civil War, World War II. You know, if your parents or your grandparents or even your great grandparents were really involved in it, it trickles down. You know, you grow up hearing stories about your parents or your grandparents, what they went through, and that can affect you massively. It's really
It certainly does.
fascinating. Yeah. Okay. Then we have The A to Z of Spanish Culture by Pilar Orti, the author, who was born and bred in Spain. She grew up in a society trying to figure out how to adapt to its newfound freedom and how best to join the rest of Europe. Having lived in London now for over 20 years, Pilar wrote this book with plenty of perspective, a bit of nostalgia, and above all, a desire to demystify a country that is still represented abroad by toros and flamenco. This book is divided into different chapters, each headed by a Spanish word that opens up a whole aspect of Spanish culture, Spain's history, its society, traditions, art, gastronomy, or language. From grape eating on New Year's Eve to the reenactment of 13th century battles, from the failed military coup in the 80s to the recent fall from grace of the king, from the origin of the, is it fedua, the pasta? Fedua. The pasta-based version of paella, basically, to the origin of the popular tapas. You will learn a lot about Spain from this book.
That sounds like the one to read first. That
It's like
sounds
an
like a nice
encyclopedia.
Yeah, exactly.
appreciation of the differences, because there are so many differences.
Yeah. And if you are a lover of wine and want to understand a bit more about Spanish wine, then this one is definitely for you. It's called Decoding Spanish Wine.
But even if you don't like wine, and I'm not a wine drinker, these things that are still fascinating.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
It's almost
Sorry
like an art.
to do that.
Oh, it
is.
absolutely is.
It's again, it's part of the passion, the culture. Sorry, carry on.
No, but it's really it's really interesting to understand what, you know, there's a lot of people who don't understand about wine that will say things like, I don't like red wine, or and as if all red wine tastes the same, which of course it doesn't. And it's the more you learn, the more you realise there is a lot to kind of learn and understand
Again, this is a
about
cultural
wine.
thing. Like, and we would never give a child alcohol, but it's very normal in a Spanish family when you're doing that. We don't eat in Spain, we dine.
Yeah.
And it's a meal, and you share it with family, and there's conversation. And the children are given a little drop of wine and put with their water or something.
Yeah.
And it's just because it's a cultural thing. You're not getting them drunk.
No.
I don't know. It's a whole different thing.
Yeah. Okay, Decoding Spanish Wine, a beginner's guide to the high-value, world-class wines of Spain by Andrew Cullen. Wine lovers everywhere are starting to realise what the pros have known for some time. Spain delivers some of the world's highest quality wines for the money. The big question many consumers have, though, is where to start in their Spanish wine journey. Well, this book cuts through the jargon and complexities to present the grapes, regions, and culture of Spain in a concise, approachable format that will have beginners and middle stage wine consumers on their way to becoming Spanish wine pros. You can learn about the different types of grapes used in Spanish wines, along with the classifications listed on the bottle, understanding the main regions producing wine and how their culture and methods differ, so you can better find wine that suits your tastes. Most importantly, have fun while you're doing it. Broadening your wine horizons doesn't have to involve bullying your way through a dense collection of mind-numbing facts. Written in an entertaining, easy-to-digest fashion, Decoding Spanish Wine includes the core info you need to get started on your journey to enjoying a new world of exciting, high-value wine from one of the planet's greatest wine-producing countries.
That
Cheers.
sounds quite fun.
Definitely. And so true. I mean, there are so many. What do you think Spanish wine? What do most people think? Rioja.
La
I
Rioja.
suppose. But there are so many regions that have, and we talked about, we went to Axarquia, the Moscatel.
Oh, the Moscatel.
You know,
great.
that's
I
a-
bought some Moscatel in
Yeah, yeah.
Sevilla.
Oh, but it's
Yeah.
really lovely. And then you have, it is, it's just a different.
Lanzarote makes me, the bodegas, the vineyards are all the volcanic ash. So you see, and
Yes,
it's all
that has a-
black.
wow.
And it's got like the holes where the grapevines are all coming out.
Yeah,
and then
makes a
the wine
difference.
there also tastes very different because of volcanic ash.
Ashy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't taste the ash, but I mean, it's quite.
But I think we
it's
don't
indifferent
realise
from
it's
the
like that
soil.
each area produces. And for me, Spain is like you could take the whole of the United States or the American continent, but we have that everything here, from the mountains to the snow to the deserts to the to like wine growing, everything. We have
Yeah.
It all
absolutely
makes,
everything.
and all of these things have an impact on the grape and the taste of the wine, the weather, the soil, all these kind of things. And you mentioned Rioja. A lot of people that might not know anything about wine, they just think red wine in Spain is Rioja. It just kind of means red wine, which of course it doesn't. Rioja is a region of Spain, but a lot of people don't know that. They just see a bottle of red wine with Rioja on the label. Oh yeah, I like Rioja, but not really understanding what
And they
Rioja
also do
means.
rosé and white wine.
Yeah,
Not only
exactly.
red wine.
When
Yeah.
you think
Exactly,
of
it's
cover,
an area.
like in Spain, we don't have champagne. You can't make champagne because champagne is a region in
from
France.
Champagne, exactly.
And that is an area that grows the grapes champagne. And so the Spain is exactly the same. Our sparkling wine comes from Catalonia and it's called cava. But that would be the equivalent of
Yeah.
champagne. But you can't call it champagne because champagne's from Champagne.
Exactly.
À la France.
It's really interesting once you start looking into it. And as you say, you don't necessarily need to be a wine drinker to understand and appreciate a little bit of wine knowledge.
Exactly, it's the way they grow it, the way it's just everything.
Yeah,
it's
I
lovely.
mean, even Albarino. Apparently, some Albariños, because of the sea air and the salt from the sea
I like
air.
Albarino.
Yeah, me too. And so that's like influences the taste of the Albarino, but not all the Albarino has that sea air
Yeah.
coming onto it. So the
Right, talk
salt
about
air.
Brits and wine, but I can think of back in the day, everyone wanting Vigna Soul.
Yeah. Posh,
Everyone.
you've got Vigna
Yeah, I
Soul.
want Vigna Soul.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's
try
funny
your
how
wine.
things change.
Tours, come to Spain and do one of these tours. There's some amazing.
Oh, definitely. I did a sherry tasting in
that's
Sevilla. Obviously,
fascinating.
sherry is from Cadiz, that kind of area, the
Jerez, yeah.
sherry triangle, Jerez. And but we did it in Seville. It was really, really interesting.
it's fun.
That's where I bought my bottle of Moscatel.
And as Hannah says, salud.
Yeah,
Cheers.
salud.
But everything in moderation.
yes, drink responsibly.
Make my day. Make my day. Show me that don't need no money. Don't need nobody. Just need your body. Eh, eh. Show me that so sweet like honey. Don't need no.
South Central dancing like no.
Linear Director has come up with a squatter policy for just €24 a year. You don't have to have your home insurance with them. This is a completely separate matter to protect you from squatters. For more information, call 952 147834 or their website, lineardirector.com.
Sometimes there are numbers that shape your life. Thousands of minutes putting in your contact lenses, hundreds of blurred memories, and many lost pairs of glasses. But there are also numbers that give you confidence. For more than 30 years at Baviera, we have performed 1 million treatments, 1 million reasons for a life without glasses. Baviera Ophthalmology Clinic.
Make my day. Make my day.
It's wonderful to be involved with Spanish culture. Now, maybe you can't dance flamenco or sevillanas, but we can all learn how to do the palmas, how the Spanish clap along to music. And then, of course, you have the wonderful castagnette. So we've invited lovely Beren to join us today because although you're from South Africa, you are so passionate about flamenco dancing. I think that's so curious that you've
Well, I
taken
did
it
it-
to the
I
point
did-
of learning, teaching.
I did a DNA test, and 87% of my DNA is actually Spanish.
Really?
Yes.
So
Oh,
it's
wow.
obviously in one of the,
It's
saying
in
on the
the blood,
program,
yeah.
in bread.
Yeah,
it's just,
that's
it's just in your,
amazing, yeah.
in your system. But it's funny when you see that flamenco as one of our biggest exports. It's terrible that Spain is synonymous bulls flamenco, but this is how it is, and it's lovely when you're in all the fairs now. People aren't dressing up in flamenco dresses. No, they're putting on their normal clothes for this traditional part of the year. So this is a great way, I think, for Beren to show us how we can be involved. You can sit down in your own little chair, but if you know how to keep the compás, because they're learning flamenco in America, Japan, China. I mean, it's a really big deal.
All over the
Amazing.
world, yes.
So what do you see that people are find that, is it the passion? Is it, what did you think is the most attractive, Beren?
I think it's the ability to express yourself and how you feel through your body. And that in itself is actually a therapy.
It's very sensual, it's very feminine, isn't it?
Very.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does encourage your feminine side. It brings out your curves and everybody, no matter how big you are or how small you are, the flamenco dresses really are, well, you look stunning.
Yeah,
by
absolutely
the way,
stunning.
so
Thank you
absolutely-
so much. Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, and you know, as the great thing about flamenco is the older you get, the better you get at it, and you can dance it because it's not actually so risky to injury. So there's a lot of older flamenco dancers that are absolutely fantastic.
And a great way to keep in shape would you the stamping the feet and just by holding your arms up all the
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
for the
Yes.
food muscles. Excellent.
And even the hands, you know, when you do
hands,
your
definitely.
hands, your fingers and everything,
Yeah,
all those
so
joints
beautiful.
that need to get exercised are
Thinking
getting
about
done. Yeah.
elegance.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
We said last week that when I learned to do flamenco sevillanas, that it helped me with the picking the apple from the tree because you got that shape.
Yes.
And then you bring it in to bite it and then you chuck it away. And then your teacher gave you thing with your wrists.
Yeah, just saying, just like moving the
Yes,
wrist like that
yes.
to start off with to get into the practice of it, and then you start like moving your hands.
That's right.
'Cause you probably know
Yeah.
better than.
Yeah, there are many different ways, and then you put the thumb and the middle finger together, and that gives that nice shape. So as you turn,
Oh, right, yeah.
and then you have to push 10 kilos away, and then pull 10 kilos back towards you, and push, and pull, and push.
So beautiful.
I mean, I can feel it in my arms
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everyone
and
should be
really
doing
do.
this.
and then when you watch the dance and you see the expression of the hands, it finishes off the dance beautifully.
Wow.
I remember that when I was doing the lessons that my teacher said to me that I was the best foreigner with that, I don't know how to say it in English, but the look of mala leche, with that disdain.
Yeah.
I did that great look of disdain. I had a really good, miserable face.
You probably got some DNA in there as well.
Or something. I think I might be made in Spain. You know, August brings May babies. Yeah, I kind of think I'm the Spanish baby somehow.
Possibly.
Love that.
So when you're doing I realise now that I've learned by watching, but the way the Spanish, they're not clapping when they're the palmas. The literal, it's called palmas, which are palms.
Yes.
And it is, isn't it? It's using the cupping of the palm to create almost like a castanet effect.
Yes, the palmas is actually considered a percussion instrument, and there are palmeros who are very expert at this, and they are hired as part of the percussion of the dance group or the singing group.
Wow.
Like similarly, I mean, who would think you could play a box?
Yeah,
They have people who
cajon,
specialise in cajon, but
Yes.
it's a box. It's just
Yes.
a wooden box. And then when we were in the fair yesterday, playing the
canes.
sticks.
The canes, yeah.
Oh, we're just playing the sugar canes.
Yes,
But I mean, it was
amazing.
literally music. Like, what? Who's drumming? Oh, it's just two sticks.
Yeah, well, it's just like one
just-
cane, just like
yeah,
sit in the middle and just
it's
like.
just the rhythm because you know
just
there's
banging
special
away.
rhythms.
Tell us about the rhythms.
So you have two sets of rhythms. They are the 4/8 rhythm, which is more the joyful, friendly kind of fun, happy one. So 4/8 would be dances like farruca, tangos. Then you have the 6/12 rhythm. Now that 6/12 is actually sevillanas, which is not actually a flamenco dance; it's a regional dance. But then you have alegria, soleá. These are all 12. So the 4 you would always clap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, end on 7. Whereas the 6/12 you would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I like that one.
I love that.
And then they always, the Yamada, they call it at the end, it finishes always on 10.
Really, it's quite fascinating. Show us a little bit of palmas.
Okay, so when we do this palmas, we're not going to do hondo, which is more like that. We're going to tap into the palm, which is much louder, more fuertes. Yeah. So we do, let's start with 12 and we'll do an alegria. So we do, and you emphasize certain beats. So we do 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Ten.
Wow.
Ole.
Ole.
Ole. But what an easy way
Fantastic.
to just be sitting down, watching what's going on and joining in.
Yes, and you will pick it up if you watch Tablao Flamenco.
Yeah, and I love that. So, because again, all the fairs are going on now. Linda's a fair fanatic. So
Yes, to dance
the fair, but it's
Sevillanas.
amazing. Every time I hear, because I learned Sevillanas when I was living in Spain years ago. And anytime I hear the Sevillanas, all of a sudden, I mean, I'm hearing it and I want to stop because you do all these passes, you know, you walk across and you're changing with your partner. And every time I hear it, I want to just be off walking. Anyway,
Yes.
castanets,
Yes.
castanets.
Yes,
Spanish is castañuelas.
castañuelas, yes.
So,
Put it onto the thumb. So it needs to go on.
Oh, okay.
It needs to go onto the thumb, and then you put it through where the loose strings, and then you put it across the thumb, and then you just pull, and so it's nice and firm, and then you make a knot at the top,
Okay.
so that you can. And you always play with these two fingers.
which two? Oh, the middle.
Yeah, that's it. There you go. There you go. Yeah. So that's the one that keeps the beat. So what we're going to do today is we're all going to play together.
Okay.
So you're going to keep the beat. I'm going to put on some of the other ones that are more suitable.
Real
And-
ones. These are souvenir
The real
shop
deal.
ones for the show.
Yeah.
I
but-
don't have them
so
at home.
cute.
But they're absolutely fine because all we're going to do is keep beat now. So in order to keep beat, you've got to. So I'm going to do a roll.
Wow.
Now, when I do the roll, and at the end there's that. So you're going to come in when I do that. So I'm going to go and beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8.
Ole,
Yeah.
ole,
Yeah,
ole,
yeah,
ole, ole.
Yeah, and then but it's also percussion instruments. So you know, even in a huge Spanish dance or flamenco presentation, the castanets would come on their own. So, for instance, this beat you could go da-da-lum, 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 lum, lum.
Da-da-lum, da-da- I
So
can't
no,
I'll
no,
just do
so
that.
just do the beat with me.
Okay.
Da-da-lum, 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 dum, bum. Again, lum and 1, 2, 3. There you go.
Fabulous.
Yeah, so you can all
Very
take
gorgeous.
part.
So very cool. You have to come back and teach us more.
Oh,
we've
please.
got Feria season going on, what, till November? Or is it
Yes.
end of October?
End
San
of
Pedro,
October.
end of October. So we have plenty time
Yes, I'd
to
love
getting more
to.
things. Because every little bit helps us just integrate
Yes,
and feel part of it
Yeah.
a little bit more.
And there's a way of teaching you and all your viewers the first versus Sevillanas in 20 minutes.
Watch this space.
Exactly. Let's
This is
do
not a
it.
threat, but Baron will be back.
I use my mathematical skills, and we find a way that actually it goes into the head, and then you remember what to do.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Bum, 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 bum.
20 minutes.
Ole, ole, ole.
Yes. Yeah.
I think we need some practice.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. But you did well. I mean, just to keep that beat already is the start of
Thank
it.
you, Baron.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
And on
It's a
to the
pleasure.
next bit.
South Central dancing like no.
Have you heard of Zero Hero? Well, I'll tell you. Zero Hero is a community initiative that rewards designated drivers with free soft drinks. Every single one of our venues gets special branding, including this sticker which has a QR code which will lead you straight to our website. The Zero Hero project is in collaboration with the Línea Directa Road Safety Foundation. So whether you're a customer who goes to wonderful restaurants or a restaurant who serves wonderful people, this is definitely something for you. Go to our zerohero.es website to find out more.
Make my day. Make my day. Make my day. Make my day.
Just a quick reminder on the safety side, particularly if you are renting and you're not aware of how the installations are in your apartment or house. Obviously, you can't touch electricity when you're wet. When we're in Spain, we're wet a lot more than you would be when you're perhaps in England because it's hot, you're jumping in, even in fountains in the street. I mean, kids, you're looking for water everywhere. Swimming pools are abundant. Most urbanizations, most apartment buildings have one on the roof somewhere. But when you're renting, as I say, particularly, if the installations aren't up to code and the safety valves aren't kicking in when they need to, the circuits aren't kicking in, it's very easy to get electrocuted. And unfortunately, we have recently lost a young man, very young child, because coming out of the swimming pool, just touched an appliance and it wasn't grounded, and obviously the circuit wasn't right. Obviously that wasn't avoidable, but I think we've just been aware that with the summer, when there's water, make sure your children understand. I mean, I grew up with my don't touch a switch when you're wet, but I say just be really careful. If you've got cables, a lot of people put extension cords. Maybe there's a, it's like broken in a pot or a dog's chewed it. Just really please be aware. Electricity and water, don't mix. And as Lily says, don't put a fork in a toaster.
That's my tip.
Apparently you did that.
Not recently, I'd like to clarify.
Metal on metal, no metal in microwaves either. Peace out.
South Central doesn't like no.
Linear Director appreciates just how important our pets are to us, and that's why they brought out one of the most comprehensive insurance policies on the market from just €39.90 a year. Give them a call on 952 147834 or from the website lineardirector.com.
Make my day. Make my day.
Completely changing the subject, we were putting on the makeup, not that any of us really wear much makeup on our show, we're all kind of natural, but we do use makeup brushes. I usually get my powder and I'm just doing a once over, and Linda said to me, when was the last time you washed the brush? And it's like, well, I've probably had that brush 10 years and I don't remember ever washing it. And so Linda was like, I beg your pardon? Hence we have this segment now.
Yes. But usually most people don't wash their makeup brushes. So I brought this on. You want to touch it? I wouldn't if I was
Okay.
you.
Why, is it clean or ugly?
No.
Is it a bit
I
manky?
mean, even if someone's been using it, you shouldn't use your friend's brushes or anything because it can have, just imagine it's being on your face. So your face, it sweats. You've got the grease on your face, you've got dirt. Every time when you take your makeup off at night, if you've taken it off with a cotton bud, have you seen the dirt that comes off? So imagine that, just on your face, like every day.
Right, all
Sometimes
those
you touch
dead
up.
cells that are coming
Dead
off
cells.
without, you don't think about it.
No.
I mean, because you wash everything else. It's like people, as I got out the dustpan and brushed, and I realized I need to clean the dustpan. Sometimes you forget to clean the things you use for cleaning.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, but it's the same with the makeup brush.
Yeah, because you can have so much bacteria on there, you can even have mold on there, and you're just clogging up your pores with whatever it is that you're putting it on. And not only that, first of all, you're like having a good dip into your makeup as well, and then putting it all over your face. Like, yeah. So you can imagine all the stuff that's
2
in
hours
your
later,
makeup.
you're topping up again.
Exactly.
And it's all in there as well, So yeah. So good ways to clean your brush would be a little bit of vinegar in water.
What, white vinegar
Oh,
or normal vinegar?
White vinegar. Yeah, not malt vinegar like you put on your fish
I'm
and
just
chips.
saying, it's like,
Maybe.
No, I
It's
wouldn't
like,
do that one.
you only know when you know.
Yeah.
I mean, for you it's obvious, but
Yeah.
for you say vinegar, for me I'm thinking vinegar and
Balsamic.
chips. Yes. No, I would rather
Balsamic.
the
When I black
sarsens. I'm not
vinegar.
just a sarsens go more vinegar.
Nice black vinegar on your brush. I like that one. Balsamic. Okay. So
I don't
that's
know.
You only know when you know.
Exactly.
You don't know what you don't know till you know.
So that's one way. Another way is bicarbonate of soda. That's also mix it with a little bit of water. With all of the ways that you're cleaning it, make sure that you really rinse it out well. Now you don't want to mix bicarbonate of soda with vinegar because vinegar is acid and bicarbonate is alkaline, and so you mix the two together and then it's just like a salted water, and so it doesn't do anything.
Okay.
So it's like counter.
One cancels out the other.
One cancels the other one out. So yeah. Then you can always use tea tree oil, essential oil of tea tree oil, which
That's
is
good for
Okay.
lots of things, isn't it?
It's
For your
an
skin.
antibacterial.
So it's antibacterial.
It's antifungus. It's anti.
So it's good for like toenails and all
Yeah.
things like that, isn't it? Tea
Yeah,
tree oil.
yeah. So yeah, you could put like a few drops of that into your water, and then you can like wash it that way. And then I think there's a couple of other ones as well. Essential oils are always good. I like clove personally because it's one of my favorite ones. So that's like one thing I thought I would talk about. And then the other thing is this soap.
I was going to ask you this because, sorry to interrupt, but the washing makeup brush is a big thing on social media. Every so often there's a boom and everyone's like, you have to wash your makeup brushes, and they cut the sponges and they're all full of mold.
Oh yeah, the sponges.
So, yeah.
And then you've got the best way to like clean your face is really with a nice cleanser, a natural one, and then using like a muslin cloth. And then you can wash the muslin cloth really easily. So that's like the best way. Because even the cotton
Sponges worry me because that is like
Those-
that is just such a fertile area to grow mold and bacteria.
But yeah, we don't wash them either. I will suddenly like go, oh, I'm washing them, but I only wash them with soap and water. I didn't know about vinegar.
No, but I
or
know whether like, you know
bicarbonate.
you kids in the bathtub and you get this they bite the sponges and I was like, remember that when I had my children were tiny, is that realization of that thing is damp and it's sitting in the bathroom just. Oh God, who knows what's going in there? So I got rid of all the sponges, and then I bought natural sponges.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But still,
Even before I met you.
well done.
Wow.
Well done. But even those, I mean, it's best to always like just think about a weekly routine, even with your hairbrushes, you know, because even your hairbrush, you got the grease from your hair, you're also sweating. So even that's a good thing, you know, come out all the
See,
extra
that one
hair
I
and
know.
stuff.
That one was a natural one. You wash your hair, you wash your brushes.
I don't.
But I never thought, as I say, the makeup brush just didn't even.
Yeah.
Just something you use.
Yeah. But then, as we're on the topic of cleaning and hygiene and all the rest of it, soap, especially hand soap, you usually have it on the side of the sink, and maybe everyone uses it.
So you wash your soap?
I just assume that the soap is cancelling out all the bacteria of the person from before.
No, it's best really not to. It's probably better the liquid soap.
That's why the ones in the dispensers are better.
Yeah.
That was my thing. When you go into the public bathroom and you're doing all the things, but then you're touching everything that everyone's touched anyway.
True,
So
true.
like you're turning the tap off and you're
I
trying
know,
to
I
open
know.
the doors with your bottom.
I know. I don't know as well.
My hands are clean and I don't know how to get out of it.
I never use the dryers.
Oh, really?
Oh, that was such a
Oh.
big thing, and they are just
It sucks in the air from the atmosphere of the toilet, and then brings it in and it blasts it out on you. So it could be fecal matter and all
Yeah,
sorts
if you don't
of stuff.
close the toilet seat, it's amazing how many litres of that stuff actually blossoms into the air.
Well, it evaporates, doesn't it? And then we've got our toothbrushes,
You got exactly.
and
You got your
makeup
loo
brushes.
there and your toothbrush there, and it's all just circulating.
But we all live happily.
Maybe it's better we live in ignorant bliss. The more I know, the more terrifying it's becoming.
Yeah. But with soaps, I always like to go for like a natural soap. But it's also like, what do people normally do? I mean, they wash underneath, wash the parts.
Bits and pieces.
Oh, so true.
So even that, just like be careful of
Be aware.
what you're using the soap for. You know, so maybe you put it onto something and then you wash what you're using. So it's like there's things that you should be doing with that. And then even things like
What's that?
that is
For your
really,
heel?
Yeah, it's really good for scrubbing the dry skin on your feet. And that's things like that is probably easier because you can wash them easily. You can soak them into like water with the vinegar or with the tea tree oil. But instead of like the hand muffs and things like that. So
My
that's
mum
like,
used to use a pumice stone.
yeah, pumice stones are great. Again, you
Funny
still
how
have
much you
to-
learn growing up, because like my mum would say, well, I remember little, you wipe from front to back and things like that, which you know because your parents teach you.
Yeah.
But then, as you say, applying that to when you're all the things that you're doing. Where am I putting things from my face to my tushy teeth?
Yeah.
And sharing in public bathrooms.
I mean, the good thing about that, I guess, is that one, it's easy to wash, and two, you wouldn't really share that. Whereas I think the
No.
thing with makeup brushes is that I share all my, not to everyone, but to my friends, to my sister.
Yeah, if you're out and getting
Yeah,
ready, I suppose
we're
you're
sharing
all
all
borrowing each
everything.
other's makeup.
Yeah. But no, it is better not to share and
No,
to keep
of
it to
course.
yourself. I mean, even like, the
Mascara is a
mascara
big
and
one.
things
Right,
like
you
that,
can get eye infections.
and the
or-
eyeliners can get infections. What I like is like, this is actually a Moroccan thing, and that they don't use a brush at all, and it's just like a stick. And then they'll have the original kohl, because we get kohl sticks, the kohl eyeliner, and then they'll put that into the little bottle, and then you put it on, and then they'll put it in between the eye.
Do you
to
use
the
that?
eyelid. I've started to use it, yes, it's quite
Wow.
fascinating. And they say
Much
like,
easier to clean, I suppose.
yeah, it's much easier to clean, but also the original kohl is like minerals. So it's actually in the Middle East and those countries, they say that it's actually good for the sunlight, to defer the sunlight. And it's also good for if you've got conjunctivitis, if you've got eye problems, it's kind of quite
Like
medicinal.
healing us at the same time.
Yeah, but that's the original kohl. But
Have you seen the little pot, the Moroccan makeup, which is a red thing, and you wet it, and it's like blush and lipstick? Have you seen that?
No.
Oh, I'll bring it one day on the show.
Oh yeah, no, but I think I know that
yeah.
red stuff.
Yeah.
It's a special mineral,
It's a makeup thing.
Yeah. I have.
We
and
need
it
to go
is very
back to
good.
more natural
Yeah.
things.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
really do. I mean, as I say, on the program, most of us are very natural, but we can be more natural. We just need to learn how.
Mm-hmm.
That's why everyone needs a Linda in the life.
Linda in the life.
A Linda in.
In the life.
Make my day. Make my day.
We hope you found the program informative and fun. Do go along to our website, goodmorningspain.com. You have links to our social media, our YouTube channel, and articles following up on topics discussed. Take care of yourselves. Have a great week. Bye for now. Bye.